Okay, this is Street Fighter Alpha Anthology, and I'm going to do some Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper. And to get to Upper, all these details will be in the description below the video, but you basically have to beat Street Fighter Alpha 3 on this anthology with any character in arcade mode, and you can do that on any skill level or whatever. Once you've done that, you come back to the game selection menu here, you highlight Alpha 3, you hold the select button, and then push X. So I'm holding select and then I push X. And because I was holding select and I had beaten arcade mode in Alpha 3, it will load up a game that looks like Alpha 3 but is actually Alpha 3 Upper, which is basically Alpha 3 with additional characters. And some of those will show up in the intro here. Just a second. There we go, Balrog, Fei Long, etc. Okay. That arrow there signifying the upper, it's curving upward, you see. That is not there by default, so by default the title screen looks pretty much exactly like regular Alpha 3. I turned that on and a bunch of other options in the various option menus. There's a main option menu, and there's, I think, 2 hidden option menus. Again, all that stuff is in the description below. If you're interested, I've basically set the game up so I can play it without flashing effects during gameplay, because those seem to give me migraines. But thanks to all the options in the Street Fighter Alpha Anthology and in Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, I can actually play an Alpha game without flashes during gameplay, so pretty sweet, and it's getting me back into Alpha. Okay, so I shouldn't say back in, it's really the first time I've been into Alpha. So the hidden versus mode is what I'm going to play. That's also part of this whole scheme of mine. You highlight the versus, you just scroll up or down with the D-pad through the menu, and you'll get to versus. Now here's another key code to enter. So X, the X button would normally select versus, but I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to hit triangle and R2 immediately after that, and I'm going to hold all these buttons. So I'm going to press and hold X, and then almost in the same motion, it has to be really fast, almost in the same motion, as I'm holding X, I'm going to also press and hold triangle and R2. If I do it correctly, instead of the usual versus screen character select screen coming up, it will be just a random character matchup, and it'll go right into the match. So let's see if I can do this right. So press and hold X, and then press and hold triangle and R2 almost at the same time, just a split second afterwards. Yep, that was it. So it's given me a match of Sakura versus Sagat. They're both in classic Xism, because that's what I've set the random modes to, being only able to pick Xism and classic, because those are the ones without flashing effects. As for players, these are the players I normally have decided to play and to play against. So I've set player 2 up as the computer. So most of the characters I've left in, I've taken out ones that I just don't seem to be able to play at all, or ones who have flashing effects during gameplay, like Rose, for instance. And one of them who has a flashing intro. That's Cody, I think. Anyway, stuff like that. So, but I'm not going to be playing all of these characters right now. What I wanted to do tonight was just play some Ryu. So I deselect everybody else. That's hard to see. Okay. Okay, so just Ryu. So once this match ends, it should switch me to Ryu, and I'll still be fighting random CPU characters. In the Alpha 3 Upper's options, I have this set to single round matches. That's again a flashing effect thing. Also, I just like the constant random matchups. There's 2 stages that have flashing lightning in the background. Those are M. Bison's Stormy Field stages, or whatever the heck they are. And when those come up, I have to skip those and just pause the recording and let the CPU beat me up while I close my eyes. So I'll have to do that twice as the game loops through all the stages. So here we go. Now Sakura, I don't really care about at the moment. She is Ryu-like, I suppose. So Sagat sometimes gets way too fireball happy, but then again, he's got pretty good uppercut when he chooses to pull that out. This is the CPU at the highest difficulty level. It's kind of weird though, and it's got problems like that. Like just being way too fireball happy sometimes. Alright, so here is, it's going to keep giving me Ryu because he's the only one I have selected for player 1. But I'll keep getting random matchups versus CPU. And I just basically been doing this to just get some time with Ryu and zone in a bit on what Ryu does. And Alpha 3, ow. I'd like to get some uppercuts going, but that's not going to do it. Just randomly hitting uppercut. Ah! Now there I could... Oh, see, now there is like the one flash that's left. Sometimes you get the red counter hit. Oh no! Tatsus are working pretty well on... Oh, he's just gonna chicken wing right through. Yeah, that's some Tatsus. Oh no! Oh no! I couldn't get away from him quick enough to get room for a Tatsu. There are a lot of matches that, at least for me, end up very close. And I don't know if that's an actual rubber band AI type thing where it just kind of goofs off for... Oops, that was weird. For some of the match until it realizes that it's running out of time and needs to start doing stuff, or if that's just... It's just uncannily close to matching me in a lot of these matchups. Other times I get blown out and stuff, so you know. Like that was not at all close. I have a terrible time fighting Ryu with Cammy, so I think I should have done better in that matchup. I mean, obviously, I'm not very good at Ryu. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. If you're new to my channel or whatever, you don't know that. But yeah, I'm not particularly good at Street Fighter. I've always been a KOF player and not a very hardcore KOF player either, so I don't know what I'm doing. Now, E-Honda is another matchup that should be in Ryu's favor. Generally, I think that's how it's viewed. Hooray, I won a match. Yeah. Oh, E-Honda's foot was not resting on the ground there. That was weird. That background I find a little too busy. Like, this background I like way more. Just nice and peaceful jungle scene. What was she doing? Juni is the charge character, Shadowloo doll. I'm bad with charge characters, so I find her hard to play. I think I left her in my normal character selection just because I don't tend to do her special moves anyway. I just do a lot of jump kicks with her because I like jump kicks, and she's got long legs. and pretty good hops, as they say. Oh no, that was supposed to be a fireball. Well, see here the CPU has decided to stop messing around again. Or maybe it's just me and I just break down and start doing stupid stuff when the match is on the line. Oh, okay, well, pulled one of them out anyway. I love this stage too. This is one of my very favorite stages. Wait, why did my costume color change? It's really weird. The CPU seems to use different colored. I forget how many colors there are per character in Alpha 3 Upper. But I don't think I've noticed my. Oh, I guess I have noticed my own costume changing color before. I just for some reason did not think Ryu would lose his white gi. I'm sure it'll come back. I don't really like the gray gi look for Ryu. It's kind of yay, white gi's back. The gray's just a little blah. Maybe a bright color. An intense color at least, but gray, it's like the most boring color you could come up with. If you can even call gray a color. Oh my gosh, I'm actually doing pretty well against me here. Oh! That is an autocorrect DP. I was not aiming that way. Ah, jeez. Yeah, I'm dead. Wow, well, so another close match, and I guess I got. Wow, that is that Hagar back there? Like a really weirdly midget Hagar? Like they got the perspective confused. See, there's a flashy intro. I should probably turn that off, but he doesn't do that every time. And when I say turn it off, that would mean taking Sagat out of the rotation, which I don't really want to do. He's a real jerk to fight with his fireballs sometimes, but it's just a different type of challenge. Oh. Now, that actually reminded me of something though, which is that sometimes you can just uppercut the AI as it's getting up if you've knocked it down, and I'll have to give that a shot here. It only works against certain characters, basically. That's not going well. It's too far away. You really have to be there. I screwed up my uppercut. I'm not very good with uppercuts, I'm afraid. Oh! I love the ridiculous hitbox on these uppercuts. Now, one thing that I always forget about Street Fighter is that, at least in certain Street Fighters, I don't know if it happened in the Alpha games or in 3 specifically, but okay, here's one of the flashy stages. So I'm going to pause this and pause the recording and just let Sagat here maul me with fireballs as I close my eyes, and I will be back momentarily. As I was saying, what was I saying? Something about, well, I remember it and then I started talking like a moron and forgot. Something about the AI? Oh, heck. Getting old and senile already. Rolento's a really fun character. I even like fighting him when he spanks me. This big stick. Oh no! Oh, that's right. I was talking about uppercuts and how, what I was gonna say was... Oh, see? I just... I was way ahead and then I just started goofing off. Come on, rematch me, Rolento. There's like different invulnerability properties on different strength uppercuts for Ryu sometimes, so like, and also different knockdown properties. I noticed that in Champion Edition of Street Fighter 2, for instance, like his medium uppercut in that game at least would knock down the opponent, whereas his heavy uppercut would not always knock down the opponent, and then you could be counterattacked. So it was a much safer option. Wow. Jeez. Gal usually defends a little better than that. It, against the AI, the Champion Edition AI anyway, and what was I... Well, I think I was playing both the PS1 version and the 30th anniversary PS4 version. It was better to use his medium uppercut so you wouldn't get counterattacked. So that was a medium, I think. I don't know. Well, I'll have to find out, I guess. If I was going to do that, I should really go to training mode. Ah! That was supposed to be an uppercut. That was an uppercut, and it was a poor decision. The small stage is kind of fun. There's actually different times of day, at least two. There's a nighttime version. That kid drawing with chalk. Sign, a cartoon sign behind the opponent's knee there. But I'm just playing random characters, although I did just change, I just weeded out a bunch of characters, the ones I'm really bad at playing, like charge characters particularly. But up to now anyway, and I haven't really played a bunch since I did that, so at least before I did that, I usually got about... Oh, that was dumb. I usually had about 50% of the win count that the CPU had after I played for a while. So that's not a great win rate. And I'm doing, what, twice as good as that right now with just Ryu? So that's kind of cool, I guess. But, you know, I kind of feel a lot of the times that Street Fighter games are kind of just made for Ryu, at least. Well, it's funny because I don't know if anybody's interested in my view on current Street Fighter, but at least in Street Fighter 5, it seems like Capcom feels like they need to make Ryu... Oh, wow. I don't know if I've seen that before. That was another flashy intro, but I don't think that... I guess that's just between Ryu and Evil Ryu. In Street Fighter 5, it seems like, which I don't play anymore. I own it, but I haven't played it in a long time, and I never really played it much. Oh, that was close. I knew he was gonna jump. I read you like a book, Evil Ryu. It seems like Capcom doesn't want to make Ryu a very strong character, and I think it's because they just don't want to see like online and tournaments flooded with tons of Ryu characters, because everybody loves Ryu because he's, you know, he's got the cool moves. His moves just fit the whole system very well. They cover all the bases, and normally they do. He can range people out, he can get in close and do pretty well, and his moves actually kind of make sense when you're just playing on an arcade stick, for instance, and I don't know, it just works pretty well. But in 5, they've left him, well actually in the first season, as they call it, the first year, I guess, more or less, he was a pretty strong character, and then they just started nerfing him and making him relatively weaker. I think they made him a little better after they had nerfed him pretty hard in season 2 or 3, but he's still not considered a very a top strength character, or anywhere near the top, I don't think. You know, in Street Fighter 5. So that's kind of sad, I think. I mean, you know, people want to play Ryu. They want him to be a good character. I mean, I guess most people won't really care too much about balance, because balance is mostly concerned with how these characters are actually going to perform in tournaments. You know, if it's harder in single player to beat somebody, that just means you have to try a little harder. Maybe continue 1 or 2 more times. Ah! Oh, come on, I had an uppercut going on. Here we go. Yeah, I cheaped it out. But back in the good old Alpha 3, even Alpha 3 Upper days, Capcom wasn't too worried about, here's the other Stormy stage, so I will have to pick up that thought after I skip this stage, if I can remember. I was talking about Capcom and Alpha 3 and Ryu character balance, that's it. Okay. Pause. Yay, it's Relento again, okay. Let's see what I can do this time. So anyway, yeah, back in these days here, Capcom was perfectly fine letting Ryu be a pretty dominant character. Whoa. Crazy jumps. Ah! Jumping out of counterattack range. Dang it. Good. He jumps so fast. Whoa, I didn't know I had that elbow. Ah! That was a little lucky. Jeez, he's so fast jumping in, you can't really, I mean, I'm bad at uppercut anti-air on reaction anyway, but when a dude can cover that much ground that quickly with a jump, there's not much chance. I really would have to just... See now, Balrog... Oh, I know, it's not characters with flashy intro animations I screen out, because I'm supposed to be just closing my eyes at that point, because there's a flash, there's a UI flash, the whole screen flashes anyway at the start of a round. It's characters with flashy win poses that I had to weed out, and Cody is one of those. Ugh. I finally took out, see there's the repeating uppercuts on Wake Up. I finally took out EX Balrog, so Upper adds Balrog and EX Balrog. I guess Upper is where they both appear anyway. And I couldn't tell for the longest time what the heck the difference between Balrog and EX Balrog was, so I was just letting it rip with both of them in the random selection. And maybe I should have seen it as a sign that... it's funny he calls it random player, what his characters, but anyway, that EX Balrog is way at the bottom under, say, Shinakuma, who is totally unbalanced. EX Balrog is not unbalanced, as far as I know. I actually could not find much information about him at all online, which seemed pretty weird. I think I found like one comment on a message board somewhere that explained it, and I had noticed it before I went looking, which is that... I'm getting trashed by Dan. Which is that EX Balrog, I think it was that his kick buttons, just his normal punches, have the same animation as his punch button punches. That's EX Balrog, instead of having, you know, their own unique animations. But supposedly, and this is what the message board said, supposedly they do have their own, they still have their own like damage and hitbox properties. It's just the animations are shared. And I didn't really understand the explanation this user, okay, I'm getting completely trashed back again. I'm talking too much, but he's also just a really strong character. But what they said was he was based on, or they said he was the arcade Balrog, which didn't make sense to me. Like, why would Balrog have had only half his normal attack animations in an arcade version? They didn't say which arcade version, so I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, EX Balrog, yeah, so EX Balrog is basically just Balrog with missing animations, I guess. So I took him out of my selection lists. Because you can't even tell at first who, like, if he comes up as the CPU opponent, you can't even tell. He looks exactly the same. I still can't do an uppercut. Nope, it's just too fast. That was going to be a preemptive uppercut and it would have worked, but I whiffed the motion. I love that. Dang it. Dang it, Rolento, your jump speed scares me.
Hey, come on, stand up, face it straight.
Oh, it worked so well the first time. See now, a slow jumper like Carrie, I can, what is that? So that's forward heavy punch. Is that special properties? I don't know. I keep trying to do an uppercut and that comes out, so whatever. There's an uppercut. Oh, shoot. Well, gotta learn to block on wake up, carrying when you're facing a move with ridiculous, what they used to call priority, like Ryu's uppercuts. Not as bad as Ken's uppercuts, probably, but still pretty good. So I haven't, I'm so used to doing heavy uppercuts that there's a medium. I don't know, I don't have a whole lot of trouble with this heavy uppercuts, like not knocking people down in this game, so. Oh, that was supposed to be an uppercut. I'm just doing stupid uppercuts. That was supposed to be an uppercut. Well, it's become an uppercut shambles. Yep. I'm having real trouble doing uppercuts from the right side. Just it feels weird, the motion even. That's a problem. Well, I guess I'm still doing okay as far as wins and losses go. Ah! Oh wait, so do I go over his fireball with the Tatsu? I always forget this. Just keep doing Tatsus then. Oh, the counter hit flashes. Oh! Close enough for an uppercut. Eat. Oh no. Well, he changed his moves at the very end there. That was a pretty crafty maneuver. I wonder if that's part of the AI that they're set to. Maybe it's even just a time thing. Like after a certain amount of time or certain health levels, they change their hate that move. It's just letting him hit me with that move for a while. Like, I wonder if the AI is programmed to change its attack selection based on how much health it has left.
It all depends on your skill.
That makes sense. Maybe, I don't know. Unless some of its attacks are just way better than others anyway. Which I guess they probably are. Ah, the hit flash. Ah, the counter hit flash. Oh my gosh. Just stop being ridiculous, Honda, and maybe I should start throwing fireballs. Throwing slow fireballs to give myself time to reset. Oh, reset on a fireball. You can't slap fireballs. Oh no. Epic uppercut. Of course, that was just down, back, punch, but whatever. Okay, now, in theory, this matchup should also be in Ryu's favor, right? Okay. As my voice cracks like a teenager. Oh no! Oh no! Well, it's not in his favor if he just cowers back in the corner instantly, I would guess. Oh no. Oh, Honda can't do green fisty thing. Ugh. Oh, that was one thing when I was playing, oh my gosh, I'm getting trash. I was playing Third Strike Ryu versus AI Akuma, just in versus play in the Dreamcast. Maybe the PS2 version. And I just could not beat Akuma. I forget what. I think it was on difficulty 6-ish. And I couldn't beat him until I finally just started doing light Tatsus. Just spamming light Tatsus on Akuma because I'm such a bad Ryu. And this background, I can't see anything. I can't see anything against this background. Hope she doesn't move around too much. Just keep her pinned down. But yeah, so against Third Strike Akuma, I found just light Tatsus. He couldn't handle. Now, it was still hard. It took a bunch of tries. But I finally beat him that way. AI doesn't really seem to be too good with Juni. Maybe that's just, I mean, I do have the fireball advantage on her. But I'm not very good with Juni either, so I could sympathize if that was actually the case.
Nobody blink. Triumph or die.
Oh, again, I kicked my booty last time. Oh. Ugh. What the? So maybe I should have done a medium. There was a medium. That was a heavy, I think. Sort of undecided as I did it. Medium. Oh no, I was kind of thinking, like, I wasn't surprised that he jumped in, but I was kind of thinking it wouldn't be so bad somehow. Like, the jump-ins in this game are really brutal. I think I've been playing too much KOF 2000. Where jump-ins and anti-air uppercuts aren't really a big deal because everybody can just roll or do whatever they want to get away anyway. Ah, where was my preemptive uppercut? Oh, there's one. Sorry, getting me away. Ah! Too fast for his own good. Getting right into that Tatsu. I think I'm getting more counter hit flashes than I usually do. That's one flash I can't get rid of, and maybe it's just because I'm being more combative than I usually am, more competitive. Uh-oh. Oh shoot. I think I was just not close enough. Ugh, can't Tatsu that. Is that a turnaround punch? Back off, big fella. Oh no! Oh no! Yeesh. Sometimes Balrog really mauls me, although that might be with different characters. Should be, because in theory, Ryu, I mean, since Balrog's stuff is pretty much all shooting straight along the ground, the fireball should control things. Alright, I probably shouldn't play too much longer because it is, as usual, way past my bedtime, but I can't resist a guy fight. I love me some guy. Oh man. He's kind of one of my favorite characters in this game, along with Rolento. They're just kind of these fun, really fast characters, and pretty cool design-wise, and even just visually, I mean, so, I don't know. I think those are two cool characters that got added in the Alpha series. Now, you talk about character design and favorite characters, and then you've got Street Fighter 2 era dude like Fei Long here, actually, but he didn't come along till, what was it, Super? Pretty late in the day. And, got a lot of annoying, goofy moves that I am not a fan of. I can't play him well, I can't play against him. I don't know what's up and what's down when I'm fighting Fei Long or trying to fight as Fei Long. And then there's a guy like Guile who also has just weirdness. Oh, that should have been an uppercut and I would have owned him like that. I do like this color scheme for Guile though. I mean, look at that gold style. Sweet. Oh no, he didn't go for it. Oh gosh. I'm really lucky he didn't flash kick me. Oh, that was supposed to be an uppercut. Oh, I'm dead. Oh. I didn't have a coherent strategy there. I should have been able to beat Guile, I think. Oh, jeez, Akuma. This Akuma actually isn't terrifically difficult, at least when you've got a fireball to fight off his fireballs. But he is not super easy, usually. Oh, ow. He does dumb stuff like that, so that helps. Right back at you, jerk. Whoa. Oh, so I can't Tatsu through his fireball. Well, that one I could. I don't know. Keep trying that, dirtbag. Oh no! 2 fireballs! Ah! This game, man. I mean, it's kind of the one thing that makes this AI interesting to fight in a way, is that it manages to get all these close matches somehow. Just brutally close matches. Now with Mika, I don't know if I have a whole lot of close matches. It's usually either one way or the other, somebody gets destroyed. It's usually not me doing the destroying. Once in a while. Like, I did pretty well with her in the first match, right? But, I don't know. I still don't know how Mika works, so if I ever beat her, I'm as surprised as anybody and probably didn't learn anything because I was just being dumb.
You can't give it up. Go for it.
I do have to show Dan a thing or two. I'm a little tired of losing to Dan. In a way, Dan is an SNK character, so that's kind of an interesting way to think about it. It should be true. That's probably why I like Dan so much. Good old SNK. Yeah, I mean, I've always been, well, ever since I started playing fighting games, which was really with the Neo Geo Pocket Color in a way. No, I guess I got out of college and I had no money and I was living with my parents and I was trying to start up a web design company. This was back in the whole web design bubble because I'm old. And so it seemed like the hot thing to do. But we had not started making money yet, and we never really did. We made a little at the end, but did a website for a local trucking company, for instance. So I had a lot of spare time because we didn't have much business, and I didn't have much money. So I found out about, and I had a PC for work, but I found out that, quote unquote, work, right? I'm on the verge of losing my win ratio. I should just quit now. I wasn't even paying attention in that fight. I found out about Neo Geo games. Well, actually, in college, there was a Neo Geo MVS machine in the lobby of my dorm running Samurai Showdown 2, and I never played it because I didn't have any money, but I would just watch it. I would just watch the attract mode, and it was just gorgeous, and I thought it was just the coolest thing. Like, once in a while, I did have a quarter to splurge on it, and I would just get chopped to ribbons, but I just thought the aesthetics of that game were so amazing, Samurai Showdown 2, and so I guess that's, and then so when I did get home from college and I had a PC finally, and I found out, I think I was probably just looking up Samurai Showdown 2, and I found out about Neo Geo games, and then I found out about emulation somehow, and found out I could actually play these games for free on the computer. I mean, for free, it was theft, of course, but you know how that goes. Oh man, I keep thinking I can uppercut my way out of the corner like that, but it probably doesn't help that my inputs aren't very clean, but see, like, that's an instance where maybe the medium or the light would be better, and I'm not smart enough to do that, and I just always do the heavy. Okay, I'm not going to play too much longer, but I'll play a little longer. I would like to rematch again, but it's flashy, so nope. So anywho, in those days right after college where I had a fair amount of time on my hands, I really got into emulating all the old Neo Geo fighting games, and I didn't stick with any particular one of them. I just liked how they looked and sounded and animated, and just a lot of good pixelated fun. So I played all those games, and that's kind of my base reference for fighting games. So I don't really have that same grounding when it comes to Street Fighter games. That's my excuse anyway. And I never really played Alpha back in the day. And I guess I would have just about been in college when it did come out. And so I didn't go to too many arcades in college. I was on the south side of Chicago, and I didn't go out much. I went to some arcades, like in North Chicago eventually. North Chicago, whatever it was called, Navy Pier, is that? I don't know. But that was mostly to play, like, they had these big multiplayer setups where you could play BattleTech or whatever it was called, so I was not really looking at individual classic arcade type stuff. Whereas back when I was a kid and would go and waste time in arcades, kill time, I suppose I should say, while my dad was doing something else or something. And when they still had a lot of arcade machines at movie theaters and malls and stuff. Grocery stores. Ow! Jeez. What am I doing? Let her back me into the corner. Wow, so I am really at a loss against Cammy. I should be fireballing more, probably. So, I mean, that was where I did see as a kid, because I'm old now. You know, the first Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2, of course. But I was pretty much out of the arcades, or arcades were out of style anyway by the time, at least where I was. It was probably more me than arcades. There were still arcades around at that point. Not as easily found, maybe. Like the big one near my house, I think, was gone by that time. And the smaller ones around me didn't really keep up with the latest and greatest, especially fighting games. So anyway, I never happened to encounter, and I didn't have consoles back then. So I didn't encounter Alpha until I did get the... So at least I didn't do as badly against Zangief. Well, so now I'm losing my ratio of wins and losses. I got Alpha 3 on Dreamcast. That was my first introduction. Because Dreamcast, of course, did have ports of SNK fighting games, which I was excited about. Just to have the legitimate versions finally. Although they weren't perfect ports, I suppose, but I didn't know that at the time. Thanks, I got you just got worked. But I don't think I played Alpha 3 on Dreamcast much. Don't know why specifically. I thought the World Tour mode that it had, it was the Dreamcast version was, as I found out much later, was based on the PS1 version. I guess that's what people say. I have the PS1 version somewhere, I think. What was that? Oh yeah, World Tour mode. I thought was a really cool concept, but I somehow didn't like. I just didn't get into the implementation. I think I started feeling like I didn't really know because you in World Tour mode in Alpha 3 console version you fight battles. I think it's sort of a pre-arranged set of battles. Maybe they're random opponents. I don't know how that works, but yeah, weak uppercut. Oh! So Charlie is back for revenge after I just stomped him, and he is now stomping me. Ah, jeez. Okay, I'm a little proud of that uppercut. Oh, wow! No, that was not a good uppercut. Oh my! That was a nice air-to-air. In World Tour mode, I didn't know if I was adding points, because you win matches and then you get points or something and you can upgrade your character. And I didn't know, I didn't know how, like, when I felt like I didn't really know what I was doing when I had to distribute points, and am I doing this right? And then I think I also felt like, isn't it just kind of making an unbalanced, like you're trying to unbalance the game in your favor as you're giving points and raising your attributes? It just seemed weird, so I don't know, I that didn't pull me away from all the SNK games I had on Dreamcast, I guess, was really what it came down to. Alright, I should quit anyway, because it's late. So thanks for watching this Ryu mode. That's a good place to end too. We've got Rolento upside down, we've got a lightning storm in the background, and we've got 25 wins for both sides. And see, if I did pause and let this roll and the AI just beat me while I close my eyes to avoid the lightning flashes, then I would be down a win. So that's no good. So we'll just pause there. 25-25, good job, AI. Ryu's probably one of the better characters for me just in terms of my playing ability in this game, because it's Ryu, right? So I did play Street Fighter 2 once in a while. So I kind of knew the fireball and uppercut thing, and then of course there were some King of Fighters characters who stole Ryu moves and stuff, so it's not like I didn't know how to do uppercut moves and fireball moves. I was never good at uppercuts as anti-airs, so maybe can't say too much there, but yeah, anyway, so I never really played Alpha back in the day. I did get interested in Third Strike just because it looked really cool, I thought. But I never really got into Third Strike, and I didn't know why. I tried playing it again in my sort of recent renaissance on fighting games in the past few years, but I just... and for one thing, it doesn't have a great single-player mode. That's probably really what makes it tough for me, Third Strike. I mean, it doesn't have a really compelling single-player mode. Like, even this randomized hidden versus mode is pretty fun single-player-wise. You just get to keep fighting. I mean, that's really all I would need. So I'm glad this collection exists for Alpha anyway. And we don't really get ports of old games like this anymore. Nowadays, they just dump the ROMs into an emulator and call it good, so probably unlikely to see a Third Strike port that has actual new modes added or anything like that ever again. Ah, well. So I'll just have to keep playing this version. The flashing screens in between matches do kind of get to me. I should be closing my eyes through them, but I get distracted and I'm talking and just kind of don't do that. So the flashing gets to me after a while too. But as you can probably tell, I have way too much fun with the game anyway. So, I'm pretty much zonked out of it now with the flashing and the long week of not sleeping enough because I'm doing stuff like staying up late playing games. So I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but I do know that I like Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper in Street Fighter Alpha Anthology and playing this wacky setup I have here in the Hidden Versus mode. It's a lot of fun. Ryu's pretty good Ryu in Alpha 3. I like this Ryu. I mean, he does feel like a very nuts and bolts Ryu, which I think I would say that's how Ryu should feel. Although, you know, I'm not someone who would throw my hands up and scream to the skies if they came out with a Street Fighter 6 and Ryu was radically different. I mean, why not, you know? Go for it. Do something cool. But it is nice to have a good old fireball uppercut Ryu in a game where fireballs are super strong and uppercuts are pretty darn strong. So it's kind of my comfort food. Like, I don't know if Ken is rated as a stronger character than Ryu in Alpha 3. He's got that uppercut with more range anyway, I think. But I'll be trying Ken pretty soon here. I'm kind of going from the top conveniently because that's where my somewhat familiar-ish Shoto characters are. So we've got Akuma and Ken, which I'll be practicing with pretty soon. Yeah, it went pretty well with Ryu by my standards. Equal win-loss ratio. Woohoo! 50%! So yeah. Probably doing more Virtua Fighter for a bit here, but I'll be back to my two other games, King of Fighters 2000 and this one, sooner or later. So yeah. For now, though, I'll be going and I'll bid you good night.